I need to take a new professional selfie for my social medias. So today I am pitting the full frame Lumix S9 against the Micro Four Thirds G9ii to see who comes out on top. Realistically, it's been about a year since my last one, and so it's time. So I'm going to talk you through how I take one by myself, all by my lonesome today. In fact, it's kind of going to be a full frame versus Micro Four Thirds showdown to see who will win the opportunity to be my new profile picture. My hair today and my glam look remarkably nice, actually, if I do say so myself. So why don't you join me today as we take a hot trans girl summer selfie that is professional enough for social media. Alright, so I've got two goals with today's project, if you like. I need one headshot for my main YouTube channel, Luxeria, and I need another one for the labs here, Luxeria Labs. I think I will end up using the one I take for Luxeria main channel as my Instagram profile photo as well. So a 3 for 2. On the Lumix S9, I have the 50mm S f1.8, but I'm going to be using it in f4 because that is my favorite portraiture aperture. And it will work a little bit differently on my G9ii. The lens that I'll be using with that is the 12-60 Leica 2.8-4, but Micro Four Thirds works kind of differently. You should really be using an f2 to get an f4 equivalent and a 25mm to get a 50mm equivalent, but we're just gonna have to kind of shimmy the results a little bit. I know, not really a fair test, is it? Naughty scientist. So I think the aperture on the G9ii will be kept around 3.5, depending on what my lens allows me at 25mm. Hopefully the bokeh will be somewhat comparable. Recently, I watched my Costa del Sol video back and I loved the framing of the opening talking head. It is busy, but simple, if that makes any sense at all. Like it's kind of simple in color range, but complicated in terms of textures, which is kind of like my vibe for portraiture. I really like that. You kind of see a lot in photography studios when they have the brushed steel effect backdrop. It's very like sepia tone, but there's like complicated textures happening. Love that. I think it makes it interesting to look at. Granted, these pictures are going to be about this big on a screen, so I don't really know why I'm paying so much attention to it, but you know, the fun of art is in the detail. Why do art if you're not interested in the detail? Personally, for headshots, I actually prefer, I know, controversial opinion here, I prefer something between a 35 and 50, something in that range. That's what I am drawn to. I feel like it's dynamic enough that you still have shape without the compression making you look flat. And by compression, I mean when you use a lens like an 85mm or a 135, it pulls the background more towards you and kind of flattens out your dimensions. Between a 35 and 50, you're more dynamic, more angular, more 3D looking, and I really like that. Each camera in my collection has a purpose, and I use them in different ways for different things, so I'll be quite interested to know which one I will actually end up loving the most at the end of today's video. In terms of how I want these images to look, I have two quite distinctive tastes, if you like, between my YouTube channels. So main channel Luxeria, it's kind of quirky, it's kind of eccentric, it's kind of chaotic. I let my ADHD run wild. I do reality TV, reactions over there, and Biscuit plays a lot of roles over there. In fact, Biscuit features quite a lot on the main channel. Biscuit also features on this channel. Biscuit is just everywhere. So I want to kind of frame these as waist up, and I'm going to have Biscuit in my main channel one, and I think I'm going to use a camera as a prop for Luxeria Labs because I know it's kind of gimmicky to take a professional shot with a camera, but in that tiny little image when people are searching through YouTube results, it gives you very much a quick idea of what this channel is going to be about. Do I have it up here? Where is she? Where is she? No, she's not here. I think I'm going to use my 5D Mark II with like a big chunky Sigma lens. It doesn't matter. I won't actually be using it. It's just a prop. There is actually an interesting anecdote that I have when you're talking about cameras. Photographers apparently are seen as more professional when their gear is bigger, even though in this day and age, You don't have to have a camera to be a photographer. But in terms of marketing, perception matters. I wonder if you felt the same watching this video when seeing the Lumix S9 and thinking, that's not a professional full frame. It's got the same sensor as the S5 too, which was a professional camera. Keep that in mind. In terms of outfit, I am already wearing it. I just think beautiful black leather. It's my brand and it works for both things. The photographer's uniform is usually black, as is makeup artistry, oddly enough. What I found previously with using practically any camera's self-timer mode is that it can be a bit confusing. Sometimes the focus is just way off. Sometimes you press the shutter and it focuses on you no matter how far away you are. It won't let you move into an area and then focus on you. It's designed to be really used with either shutter release buttons or an app or something like that, but I think you should be able to do this in camera. That's just my opinion. So I actually think today, in terms of a plan, I'm going to do the Luxeria Labs photos first because Biscuit is fluffy and I'll end up with fluff all over myself and have to spot edit it out in Lightroom or Photoshop afterwards. So we do those first. I'm using hyperlapse mode to take these photos as that will ensure that each one will be in focus. I've set it to take one photo every 5 seconds, 10 times. And I also have face tracking mode on. Today's shoot, I'm entirely working with natural light, so I will probably have to go back in afterwards to just lift the shadows and maybe change the exposure slightly just to come out with an image that I'm happy with. Now, if you've noticed, I've purposefully framed my shot from approximately chest height upwards. Angles really play a part in how your viewer will understand these images. And the reason why I love a chest height shot is because it kind of conveys a little bit of power, a little bit of, I'm a professional, I know what I'm doing.
I'm a professional woman.
I've gotta say, I do love the Lumix S9 shooting experience. Quite often when you're attaching a camera to a tripod in vertical mode, it can be a bit like cumbersome and unfun, and I just didn't feel like that with the Lumix S9. That could just be personal opinion. I should probably have a little cage or an L bracket on it, but with my S9, I love to keep it as light as possible because it is kind of my main travel camera. Despite it being full frame. It should have been micro four thirds. Time for the G9ii. As a little reminder, the G9ii with 12-60 will be set to 25mm, which is 50 in full frame, and an aperture of f3.5, which is about f7 in full frame. I know, I kind of went over this earlier. Are you remembering? Bokeh, nice background blur. Let's go get Biscuit. The G9ii was probably my most favourite to use, and I didn't almost keep pressing the delete button whilst reviewing the photo sets, which is something that I find myself doing often when looking back at the S9 because the back button is also the delete button, which to me doesn't make much sense. Put the delete button elsewhere where you can't just accidentally tap it. I don't know, I think that's a bit of a design flaw there. You can see what I mean about the lower bokeh in this lens. With micro four thirds, I should have really used an f2 lens to have the equivalent of a full frame f4, but nevertheless, a beautiful experience, and I'm happy with the results from the photos. And my two new profile pictures are these two. Micro four thirds, one today. Which one do you think did the best? And why? Prepare to leave a comment if you like. If you have enjoyed today's video, please consider buying me a coffee. The link is in the description box below, but there is no commitment at all. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. I think it's going to be a hike.